Hello friends, welcome to our session on Java server pages. The agenda for today's session is Introduction to JSP, the advantages of JSP, JSP lifecycle and the JSP scripting elements. Here we'll be coming to Introduction to JSP. So, how JSP works. A JSP page exists in three forms. The first is the JSP source code. This also tells us what is JSP. This is the form the developer actually writes, and it exists in a text file with an extension of .jsp and consists of a mix of HTML template code, Java language statements, and JSP directives and actions that describe how to generate a web page to service a particular request. So it is actually a JSP page is a mix of HTML template code and Java language with JSP directives and other actions that describe to generate a web page. Now we come to second step is the Java source code. So first, from the JSP source code, we generate the Java source code. The JSP container translates the JSP source code into the source code of an equivalent Java servlet as needed. And this code is typically saved in a work area and is often helpful for debugging. Third, we come to the compiled Java class. Like any other Java class, the generated servlet code is compiled into Java bytecodes in a .class file, ready to be loaded and executed. So from the JSP page, the Java source code, which is the servlet, is created, and then from there it is compiled to its .class file, that is the bytecode file. So these are the three forms in which the JSP page exists. Now we'll come to the logic used by a JSP container to maintain the JSP translation. So first of all, this is the flow chart for it. We start with the program, we determine the class name, and we check if the class already exists or no. If it is no, then translate the JSP source into Java servlet source, then compile the servlet source into a class file, then load class and create the instance and send the request to this instance and end the program. Next, when does the class already exist is yes, then check if the class is newer than JSP. If it is no, then translate the JSP source into Java servlet source, compile the servlet source code into class file, load class and create instance and send the request to this instance and end the program. Next, when we check whether the class is newer than JSP, if it is yes, check if it's an instance is already running or no. If it is already running, if it is not already running, then load the class and create an instance, and then send the request to this instance and end the program. And if the instance is already running, then send the request to this instance and end the program. So these are the different ways in which the JSP translation happens inside the JSP container. This is the logic behind it. Now we'll come to the JSP scripting elements. These are the scripting elements that are present inside the JSP page. The components of the JSP page are: a JSP file can contain JSP elements, fixed template data, or the combination of the two. Now the three types of JSP elements that exist are directives, then scripting elements, including expressions, scriptlets, and declarations, and actions. These are the standard actions. Now we'll come to the directives. What are directives? Directives are instructions to the JSP container that describes what code should be generated. And we have the general form, that is the general form of the tag of the directive tag is open angle brackets, then %sign, the directive name, then all the attributes with values, and then in the end close the %sign and the angular bracket. So that is what is the general form of a directive, and we have three standard directives available in a JSP environment. They are the page directive, include directive, and the taglib directive. Now we come to the page directive. The page directive is used to specify the attributes for the JSP page as a whole, and it has the following syntax: open tag, percentage sign, @page, attribute equals value, all the attribute values, and then close the percentage sign and angular brackets. Next, the include directive. The include directive merges the contents of another file at translation time into the .jsp source input stream. So the input file would be in directive would be used this way. That is, upon directive percentage sign @include will be the directive name, and the file equals file name, close the percentage sign and the closure. Now we come to the taglib directive. The taglib directive makes custom actions available in the current page through the use of a tag library, and it would be open the directive tag, open angular brackets, percentage sign @taglib, URI, that is the name of the URI, path, that is provided, and a prefix for that URI, and then percentage sign, close angular brackets. So the three tag directives are page directive, include directive, and the taglib directive. Now next we come to comments. The JSP specification provides two means of including comments in a JSP page. One, for hidden comments only visible inside the JSP page itself. One for comments included in the HTML or XML output generated by the page. The former type has the syntax with the open angular brackets, percentage sign, /, then you write the comment and end it up with /, percentage sign, angular bracket. And next, the latter looks like this. Like it is open angular brackets, exclamatory mark, /, enter the how do you say, the comment, and then close the / and angular brackets. Next we come to expressions. The JSP provides a simple means of accessing the value of a Java variable or other expressions and merge that value with the HTML in the page. The syntax is percentage angular brackets, percentage sign equals exp, percentage sign, angular bracket, close angular brackets. Next we come to scriptlets. When a scriptlet is a set of one or more Java language statements intended to be used to process the HTTP request. The syntax of a scriptlet is open angular brackets, percentage sign statements, and write all these statements, percentage sign, close angular brackets. Second is declarations. This, like scriptlets, declarations contain Java language statements, but with one big difference. Scriptlet code becomes part of the _JSP service method, whereas a declaration code is incorporated into the generated source file outside the _JSP service method. Here again, open brackets, percentage sign, the exclamation mark statements, write all the statements, close percentage sign, close angular bracket. Now these are the declarations that have to be made, and we have the scriptlet code too. Now declaration sections can be used to declare class or instance variables, methods, or inner classes, and unlike scriptlets, they have no access to the implicit objects also. Now, implicit objects. All the scriptlets, expressions, and HTML template data are all incorporated into the JSP service method. The JSP container writes the skeleton of the method itself, initializing the page context and several useful variables. So, it is the HTML template is incorporated inside the service method. That is what the scriptlet tag is, something which goes to the service method. Now, these variables are implicitly available inside the scriptlets and expressions. So inside the scriptlet tag and expression tag, the implicit objects are automatically available, but not inside the declarations. So inside the declarative tag, you cannot use these variables. Now they can be accessed like any other variable, but you don't have to declare it first. So some implicit objects are request objects, response object, page context, session, application, out, config, page. So these are all some of the implicit objects that are being used. So we have we'll be using them when we write some programs on JSP. You'll be clear about it. Next, we come to the standard actions. Actions are high-level JSP elements that create, modify, and use other objects. And unlike directives and scripting elements, actions are coded using strict XML syntax. Now, so this is if the action has no body and abbreviated form, then some of this is how the standard actions come out to be. That is, they are high level JSP elements, and it is for creating, modifying, and using other objects. And so some of the standard actions are JSP use bean. That is, inside the JSP page you can write this code and bring the programs, work the programs like JSP use bean, JSP set property, get property, include, JSP forward, JSP param, and JSP plugin. So these are some of the actions, and we'll be doing some programs on it. So at that time we'll be getting familiar with it. So these are some of the standard actions which we can see inside the JSP page. Now, if you think the session has been informative, then please like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for attending our session on Java server pages.